Corporate greed is not the disease. Rather, it's the symptom of a much larger problem. And really, it's not what you think it is. It's just the beginning of something really a lot bigger. Heidi ho and welcome to the show. I want you to stick around, watch tonight's show, and find out what exactly that is. From Truckin City Central Command, you are on the front lines. Truckin News.
The semi-truck driver accused of causing that deadly crash on Highway 285 this week now under arrest.
Cutting edge opinion. And we will make trucking great again. Built for truckers.
You should be hauling that freight based on what works for you.
By truckers.
Remember, get them done.
Featuring.
I think trucking is a very good career.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Majority of the blame is the companies.
And we don't do it just for us and our families. We do it for you guys.
Hosted by the El Rushbo of Truckin News, Boss Man. 860-785-3547 is our number. Your way to contact us, call our studio lines, and be part of the show. Back at the helm of the fastest growing phenomenon in trucking news today, I welcome you to a show that takes seriously the idea of making trucking great again. Yours truly, the all-seeing, loud Yankee they call Mr. Opinion, broadcasting from inside Truckin City Mobile Studios, or what I like to call the Truth in Broadcasting Central Command. Truck lovers, truth seekers, we are back behind the golden TIB microphone, once again hosting the best call-in show for truckers, run by, you guessed it, by truckers, the newest news show built to give you the voice and help you make trucking great again. If you've got ideas for stories, I would love to hear your feedback. Send it to That's Truckin News at Outlook.com. That's Truckin News at Outlook.com. We are serious about taking you and your fight straight to the source. We do so two different ways. We go during the week with Truckin City Journal and during the weekends right here live on the air, usually at around 7 o'clock on what I like to call the front lines of trucking. Before I get started on tonight's debate topic, I want to read, or at least bring you round the world, as it were, in the world of trucking, and talk about some headlines that I think are pretty important to you. A quick peek at Truckin News says that one of the world's largest commercial truck manufacturers is refusing to sell its diesel big rigs in Oregon, even though its North American headquarters is located in Portland. Well, you talk about the supreme irony, right? Inside this article, which is linked below, by the way, in the description, the rules, it states in the article that the rules create stricter standards for medium to heavy duty trucks, including requiring truck manufacturers to meet tougher emission standards for particulate matter and for nitrogen oxides, or NO2, or the combustion of fossil fuels in vehicles. And it goes on to give some really damning evidence about the fact that the manufacturers have all decided to go the way of less diesel, more electric. Covered it before on this channel. Y'all know my opinion. Check out the article linked below. See for yourself. Let me know in the comments what you think. According to FreightWaves, the truck driver shortage, is it really myth or reality? This particular article breaks down the difference and tries to represent one from the other. Starts with Louis Pugh representing the OOIDA in what was held last week, maybe last month, sometime in November, a trade associated meeting where they discussed whether or not there was really a truck shortage. Louis Pugh was quoted as saying, if you think there's a shortage, explain to me why there's 400,000 plus new CDLs issued routinely. They said a driver shortage is a myth perpetuated by the American Trucking Association and its large fleet members. Check that article out and come back to me and tell me what you think in the comments below on the replay or live on the air. I'll be sure and get to all of them. You know, the latest round of weather has really been a problem for a lot of people. Snowfall in Memphis came to an end, according to one article, but the reporting didn't end. There was a report filed this morning. Check this out.
We're here just off the Canada Road exit near I-40 in Lakeland, where it's been a very much up all day and all night scenario for LaShawn Ivory with One Memphis Towing, who tells me he's been extremely busy since the snowfall hit the Mid-South.
One call after another has been keeping LaShawn Ivory with One Memphis Towing busy since midnight. He says things were very hectic this morning. He expects it to stay that way this weekend. The Tennessee Department of Transportation is also hitting the highways, trying to clear off as much snow off as possible. Nicole Lawrence with TDOT says they have 28 to 30 trucks in Shelby County working to do what they can before highways start to freeze over tonight. She says there is one highway they are monitoring more closely.
Well, 385 has a lot of bridges, so, and you know, in winter weather events, bridges are going to freeze first.
Doesn't matter where you are, bridges are always the problem. So anytime you're in winter weather, ice, snow, or whatever, always got to make sure that you take it slow. I don't care where you're at. No load, no deadline, no broker is worth the life of yourself or others around you. So you all got to take it slow and take it easy. Comment and let me know how your experiences have been the last 48 hours with the weather around the country. I've heard some horror stories, and I hate to think we lost anybody because of it. We're going to move on to what I think is the pinnacle of tonight's topic. Tonight, talking about truckers demanding an end to corporate influence. I got to get my eyeballs situated here. The battleground of labor, trucking, and the power struggles shaping the lives of men, women, and everybody behind the wheel. Just recently, we tackled on this show, by the way, it's a current and well thought out video. We tackled the insidious reality of corporate influence on workers' compensation fraud, mismanagement, and outright negligence by certain well-known companies that have left hardworking truckers fighting for their dignity, their health, and their futures. Now I want to take on something on the other end of the country. Portland city workers have braced for what they call a strike over wage disputes and misaligned priorities. And the writing's on the wall, and it couldn't be clearer, according to them. Corporate greed is choking the people who make this country run. Folks, let me tell you something. This isn't just a Portland problem or a public sector problem. This is an industry problem. This is a story of truckers, plumbers, electricians, engineers, anybody, anywhere that's been touched by union labor and has a grip or any involvement in blue-collar workers who have been pushed aside and told to work harder for less, while the corporate CEOs sip lattes and take wild vacations. So today I want to ask you, is this a new era of labor relations? Will we see collaborations and respect between leadership and people like you and me? Or are we going to see more of the same? 2 days ago, I put out a video on Walmart. Now I'm talking about Portland. What's it going to be next? And who's really pulling the strings here? Who's making it possible for a good freight recovery? Aren't we in a free market? Or are we in a bloated profit swimming pool where just the CEOs take away all of the good stuff? This industry, my friends, needs a wake-up call. It needs champions who will fight for the people who keep America moving. You and me, we deserve better. Better pay, better respect, and better representation. And I know you've heard this from people all over the place. And that's why I'm here. I'm here to connect the dots and see that the bigger picture is painted well, accurately, and portrayed right as we ask tough questions that no one else in the media will. Now, I use phrases like better pay, better conditions, more respect. It's not like we get everything at the bottom and we get nothing. We do. A lot of this we have to earn ourselves. But even that said, even though we do our part, there's still stories like I covered yesterday and stories like I'm about to detail here. Put in the comments what you think about truckers, unions, and corporate greed as I give you a little bit of insight into the story in Portland. The core of every trucker and every blue-collar worker and every American is felt by this story I'm about to outline. It's time to talk about the value of your voice, because the days of staying quiet, they're done with. Let's start with the truth, as plain as the potholes on I-40. Corporate greed, it's not the disease. It's the symptom of a much larger problem. For decades, the average worker, truckers especially, you and I, have been viewed not as the backbone of the nation, but as a cog in the machine, a disposable tool for lining the pockets of CEOs and shareholders. Trying to combine too many words at once. Now unions were supposed to be this great equalizer, this stopgap against greed. Well, the idea was simple. If corporations want to squeeze profits out of labor, unions would stand in the way, protect fair wages, safe work conditions, and give us basic respect. But I got to ask you, how's that been working for you? Let's look at Portland, where two public unions are getting ready to strike over stagnant wages and budget cuts, while city leaders squabble over how many staffers they can hire to pad their own offices. Meanwhile, negotiations have stalled. Promises made to these workers have been broken. Sound familiar? It's a song truckers know all too well. You're asked to do more, do it for less. All the while, people at the top, they walk around like nothing's wrong. For every measure designed to fight corporate greed, a loophole's born. Workers' compensation fraud, loopholes. Mismanagement, loopholes. Pay and benefits, loopholes. Who ends up paying for all this stuff? The independent soul like you and me, the city employees like out in Portland, the very people this economy relies on to keep moving, i.e. Walmart. Let me be blunt, guys. You're the lifeblood of America. Without you, shelves go empty, fuel tanks go dry, factories shut down, the economy grinds to a halt. But too often, you're treated as if your voice doesn't matter, as if you're just another number in a corporate spreadsheet. Well, I'm here to tell you, those days are done. Your voice counts, and it's time to demand better. Better pay, better conditions, better respect. It's time to ask the hard questions. One, why are corporations making record profits while people like you and me struggle to make ends meet? Two, why do union leaders seem more interested in policies and public opinion than protecting their members? And lastly, why is it always working men and women who've asked to sacrifice while the wealthy rake it in? This isn't just about trucking. It's about reclaiming the dignity of work itself. It's about showing the world that without the average individual like you and me watching right now, everything stops. Just so you get the idea. Without you and me, everything comes to a halt. So let's start this conversation right here, right now. Call in 860-785-3547. Shout it out from wherever you are. Give us your opinion. Your voice matters. Your work matters. Your dignity and respect are at stake here. And the days of staying silent, I think they need to come to an end. And they can right here on this show. Together, we can show this industry, this nation, and this world what truckers are more than just drivers. We are the force that keeps this country alive. Let's roll. Let's talk about it. And let's figure out a way to make trucking great again. It starts with this show, and it ends with the discussion had right here. So let me bring on the panel, and I'm going to get to some comments. By the way, all these things I'm bringing to you with the passion of someone that's seen a lot in over 13 years. I'm personally motivated to make things work well. So much so, I think people are believing me. I'm currently at a level of, last time I checked, 599 subscribers. To those watching, if you're one of those, thank you for your support. Constantly do your part to make trucking great again. We together can do just that. My co-host and wonderful man on the side, what do you think of the opinion I just delivered and the shenanigans going on in Portland?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say I'm doing wonderful, boss man. Thanks for asking. Another thing
Turn
is,
me into a hypocrite. Stop it.
is it just me, or are you just happy to see me, or is that a flashlight? Aha, it's a flashlight. I see it.
Portland.
Portland. Oh, the poor folks of Portland, honestly, that's very touchy for me because, I've been up in that area, visiting my in-laws, beautiful country, but those folks up there don't deserve what's being done to them. And there's several of them that are, like you just said.
Everybody in a union has rights. I mean, we've heard it said here. When you're part of the union, you agree to the bigger picture. You agree to the majority opinion. It's been said here. I have no problem agreeing with that. But when you have people responsible for the decision making that are waffling like is going on out there, it really makes you wonder. Is that union really fighting, or are they just are they just raking in the benefits? So,
I've said it in past shows,
question.
and I've told you all, I just don't care for unions. They may benefit some, but they don't benefit.
And we got a multitude of opinions, not only in the show audience, but on the panel as well. So we won't focus on the union part. But in terms of fairness and better conditions for people just like you and me, Frank, I mean, let's be real. Things have gone from bad to worse over a period of time. But looking ahead, as the last live show we had, things are looking up. So when you put it in the perspective of both of those shows and what we're talking about tonight, what do you think?
Honestly, I don't really know.
You're worse than the union leaders. You got a waffle. You got a waffle bigger than Kellogg's, my friend. Come on now. You gotta be. I mean, take for example where you work. In the last 6 months, you have said repeatedly things have improved. Have you not?
They have.
Because of one major thing, and that was your diligence to point out something everyone else in the company remained silent on. So the point to my greater point in his show, silence is your undoing. The purpose behind the show is get off the fence. Stop with the closed mouth. Open your mouth. Let your voice be heard. You're living proof of that.
Yes. And that I will guarantee you, if you get out there and get heard, someone's going to take care of it. Someone's going to help you out.
Yep. How do we find you on social media, my friend?
Find me all over the place nowadays. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Facebook. I'm on currently TikTok. Now I've joined up with something called Lemonade. Just look for me. If you see that wonderful little man behind me right there, that's me.
Yep. There you go. All right, we'll be back with you in a minute, Grumpy, to answer Oliver 880's question. God bless you for answering the really interesting question. When are they going to change a trucker overtime law? Personally, between you and me, I think making any changes right now would be detrimental to the industry, primarily because as soon as you change the overtime law, you change how we're paid. The moment you change how we're paid, you then change the money in the game. So I personally fear a change in any respect that tells me I could be potentially worth a lot less. You have anything to say against that or anything different to offer, Oliver 880? Thumper, welcome to the show.
There really is no answer to that one
Mhm.
because if you're paid mileage, there is no overtime. If you're paid
Yep.
percentage, there is no overtime. And if you work a normal week job like anybody else,
Mhm.
you're going to get paid overtime after 40 hours. I mean, that's just the way this industry is. If you
Yeah.
run a day cab, you're on hourly pay.
Right.
There's no way you could factor in overtime for mileage or percentage pay, but there's also a thing called per diem
Right.
and demerge or layover. That's
Mhm.
kind of like your overtime pay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well, any changes, of course, and of course, also up for debate, and probably not part of 880's question, is the independent contractor status. I mean, that's something that I think later in this year is probably going to be revisited, if not, being appealed as we speak. I don't really remember the status of that, but that could affect things too, and that could have a detrimental effect, I think, on our industry, and that very question he raised. So,
I mean, there's so many factors on it. Nothing's gonna happen.
yeah, I mean, it goes to Grumpy's old philosophy: if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I mean, like I
The
know
system, the way it is now, it ain't
if
broke.
you look at like the agricultural side, like I'm not saying trucking, I'm just saying agricultural in general.
Yep.
They don't get overtime after 40 hours. It's actually 80 hours.
Right.
And then that's when their overtime kicks in.
Yep. So.
Oh.
Yep.
I mean, it just all depends on the situation, how the laws are made up. But I mean, as far as overtime for trucking, it's not going to change. I mean,
No,
it's not broke. It actually, yes, you get a 70-hour clock to run, but a lot of people get to that 40 hours and they'll quit. Where if you're on percentage or mileage, that gives you that incentive to fill that clock.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's not going to change. It ain't broke. It's been working for how many years? That's just the way it is. I mean,
Exactly. It is.
I understand where he's coming from. It's not fair that a guy that works a 9 to 5 job gets overtime and
It is one of those factors that, really deserves attention, and, kudos to him for bringing it up.
Yeah.
Like I said in the open, I mean, your voice matters. So if something's on your mind, the best way to do is bring it up. Cheap Freight Hauler says, good evening. I welcome you, my good sir. You are one of my top contributors in the comments on a frequent basis. He goes on to say, my experience has been great. Last 48 hours have been spent in the recliner around the house.
Lucky
Show
you.
off. Show off. That's all I got to say. I did take the ADV out in the snow yesterday. Well, good for you. I take back my show off comment then. Okay, I'll be nice. These unions are fat, just like the CEO you're talking about. Yeah, I don't think many people have much good to say about unions. Somebody's stealing my name. I think I know who that is. I'm not going to say nothing. The only way to change the wages for truckers to give us equal protection under the labor laws, hourly pay with overtime, no more work for free, all hours paid. I like the idea. All I got to say is do away with the name. That's mine. Anyway, joking, of course, joking. Yeah, but yeah. I mean, if you're working, basically, you should be paid. I agree with the comment. I really do.
Well, I mean, that's just the thing too. But like, okay, here's the thing that I'm gonna point out. If you're expecting to get overtime in a trucking job, and yes, now trucks have GPS and everything, that's a little different. But like, if you get into an older truck and you're leased onto somebody and you just decide that you don't want to drive today,
think about what he's saying there. He's asking.
70 hours a work week. I mean, when I had a regular 9 to 5 job, I would put in 100 plus hours.
70-hour work week is a suggestion. Yeah, it's a law. Don't get me wrong. but it's a suggestion. Because the way a lot of us work in this industry today, who the hell works 70 hours? You don't. You can't. If you work strictly 70 hours by the book, the way the FMCSA writes it out, and don't do anything like splits or egg exemption or any of these other provisions that are in the law that are allowed, by the way.
You knew where I was going to go with that.
Yeah. But you think about it. If you do it the way the book is written, you're running a welfare wagon. No, I'm not picking on you, Thumper, but you're basically living at wages no one can afford to live at. But, if you do splits, if you do, stuff like we've talked about on this show frequently, and you strategically run your truck, you'll make better money. You're going to work more than 70 hours. You're going to bust your ass, but you do well in the process. So to answer your question, yeah, it's completely safe. I do it every week. I'm legal. I'm safe. But, I definitely do work more than the recorded 70 hours. You have to. You can't, you have to legally record the 70 hours, but you live in a truck. You can't not work in it. You cannot not get around doing stuff. You're always tired.
Hold on. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I just got a text from a very good friend of ours, and I screwed up. It's not 7 days. It's 8 days.
8 days. He's right. Yes.
See, I run egg exempt, so I don't know how that all. I mean, I do know how it works, but it's been a while. But it's been quite a while. But I run egg exempt, where we get 150 air miles extra for free.
Right.
So
Sorry to hear his next comment. He says Trucker Brown's 42-year-old and had a stroke. You're right. Lifestyle is dangerous, but you know what? It's not the same for every single person. Every person out here has to cater to that demand of their own.
Here's gonna kind of go. I'm gonna kind of answer that question to another degree. This is something I push all the time. Mental health is a big deal. Where you could have a stroke. You're not taking care of your body. I mean, if a guy were to actually get out, I'm not saying everybody does this.
No.
I'm not saying everybody does this, but if you get out of the truck and walk. I actually saw this at a truck stop one day. There's a guy who did 50 laps around his truck, and then he did some push-ups and stuff like that. Well, he's trying to keep himself physically healthy, which will, I mean, the food and stuff we eat nowadays ain't the healthiest for you. I mean,
no, it's not.
It's a convenience thing. You go get a burger, you go do this, you go do that, and that's where. Sorry, just 1 second here.
No, take your time.
I'm in the shop. Sorry.
No, you're good.
So that's kind of the whole thing too. If you set yourself up for success, where you cook your meals on the road, you know what you're taking in and stuff like that. Yes, it's safe, but at the same time, if you're just going to be lazy and it's a convenience thing, that's where it becomes dangerous.
It does. It does indeed. How can viewers find you if they want to look you up on social media?
Social media, I have YouTube, that Minnesota Trucking Guy 91, or Thumper and Bull. I can't remember which one that one's under. I know we had issues with that before.
Right.
And I have TikTok, which is that MN Trucking Guy 91. That name is probably going to change soon, because talking to some people, it's a mouthful and it's quite hard to remember. So
right.
So that will probably be changed to Thumper and Bull.
Good deal.
On my channels, I spread the mental health awareness more on TikTok than I do YouTube. And on YouTube, I do more of the driving experience on the agricultural side of trucking, which is cattle and grain.
Good deal. Glad to hear you. Glad you're with us today. We'll bring the entire panel back here shortly. Want to bring our next guest up, who probably has a better perspective on work life with unions, possibly, and or maybe an opinion of his own when it comes to life on the road. Bringing on Larry the Trucker. Good evening to you, my friend. You want to give everybody a basic introduction and tell everybody who you are and what you think of tonight's story about unions in Portland and corporate greed.
My name's Larry the Trucker. Yeah. I tell stories. That's all I do.
Yeah.
I tell stories. So,
Yeah. Well, tell us the story of how you feel about unions, corporate greed, and the story so far tonight.
unions are a joke.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If people are so unhappy with where they're working, find something better.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
Improve what you're doing. Not every place out there you have to work for a union.
Yeah. So do you
I think
think
it's been said before that unions are for the lazy men.
Yeah, somebody else said that once. So do you think the role of unions in protecting people like you and me, if we were part of one, do you think it should be reevaluated or changed? Or do you think they're already doing what they should be doing?
I mean, look at FedEx and UPS and all them. They're under unions. Does it work for them? No. How many times do they go on strike every year?
Mm-hmm.
For the same thing, unfair
And look,
wages.
not long ago, we had the big debacle about the East Coast and Gulf ports shutting down over the longshoremen's fight, which eventually got resolved. It eventually wound up, getting fixed.
Yeah.
But,
temporary.
After just so many of those stories, people get a bad taste in their mouth, up to and including the people they represent. So that's why I asked. Do you think it needs to be reevaluated, or do you think it's fine?
I think it does.
Yeah.
I do believe I mean, it's not working. Whatever they're doing, it's not working.
In a theoretical sense, do you think big corporations or mega carriers kind of operate the same way, or do you think that's two different elephants?
That to me, mega carriers and big corporations, they don't care. They don't care about the guys that's actually keeping the company going.
No. Okay.
Guys like me or you.
Right.
I mean, they're sitting in an office, 7, 8 stories in most places.
As
you
I
never
opened
talk to
today,
them.
sipping lattes and planning their next Tahiti vacation. Yeah.
Maybe they drove when they were first coming up, maybe.
Right, possibly.
But how much of that has changed from when they did it to now, where they're at in their company?
Right.
Which, don't get me wrong, they've earned that title.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if they don't know anything about this industry, how can you be a CEO of anything?
You can't. You can't. It's really difficult to be a CEO if you don't understand the culture, your place in it. I mean, it's really you can't. And yet, too many people are given that responsibility title just because they show promise in some negotiation somewhere.
I mean, I have issues when I had at other companies where I would have a dispatcher, not even anywhere near corporate,
right?
That never drove before.
No.
And they're sitting there trying to tell me how to operate my truck.
Doesn't work that way.
It don't work. No, it don't.
If you watch and have had a similar experience, give our studio line a call, 860-785-3547. Put in the comments your thoughts on tonight's story. We'd love to hear from you. Larry, how do they find you in social media?
I'm on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram under Larry the Trucker.
Good. Glad to have you with me. Stick around because we're going to bring everybody back. We got one more personality. The gentleman I like to call the man from the north. Welcome to the show, good old Sir Poet. How are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Glad to hear. Glad to hear.
So
mentioning the strike in Portland and my opinion, what's your thoughts?
Well, the strike in Portland, I'm not sure what they're striking for. Okay. I imagine it's wages and benefits. But there's another thing that's come up in the last week that you haven't touched on yet. And that is Ford cutting ties with Jack Cooper, the car haulers.
Okay. I haven't done enough research to really offer a valuable opinion on that, but you're welcome to tell us what you think.
There's going to be, I think they got like 1,400 drivers, both your side of the border and mine.
Right.
and most of them are getting laid off. And where's the union to protect that?
Yeah, we'll see what happens on that one. But now that you mentioned it, it's definitely up here for future shows and or videos. So if you're watching this show or on the replay, keep tuned. You never know what my next journal or front lines could be.
Okay.
Do you have any influence on social media or anything going on you want people to know about, or anything you think is important?
Only on Facebook under Blaze, BLASE,
Mhm.
Alberts, ALBERTS.
Yep.
I'm a mentor. I just retired after
God bless you.
54 plus years. I
Good question. That's good though.
I want something to do. So I
Yep.
mean, if you
There you
have
go.
questions, send me a
Okay.
PM.
There you go. Okay. Well, we're going to get back with you here in just a moment, Poet, and we're going to bring everybody else back on and have a round debate and discussion over this entire debacle going on in Portland, plus other things that have come up recently on my channel. Again, I mentioned earlier, I got 600, almost 600 of you that have recently found a place to call home, a place where your voice matters. Go down below, take a moment, hit the like button. Help me in supporting this channel, get the word out that we can make trucking great again. I can do this even better with your help. And to this viewer, make trucking great again. Trucking is just like driving for Uber and Lyft. It's gig work. I have to seriously disagree with that for one simple reason. Gig work is something you can do on your own schedule. It's lower pay. And I think there's more contract based associated with it. That being said, I will defer that gig description simply because you don't own a business as a gig worker. You work for some other bigger entity. Now, a lot could be said that you are working with a carrier or a mega carrier, or you've got a contract. Yes, all those things are true. But in my mind, gig work is different. And if you in watching disagree with my take, please let me know. I want to hear it. Call in our studio line at 607-853-3547. Put a comment down below, live on the air. I don't care. Let's talk about it. I do not associate gig work with driving a truck or getting the job done of hauling freight interstate. Not the same. None whatsoever. Anybody on this panel, you are welcome to disagree or agree. All of you are live. Give me your best opinion. What do you think? Is make trucking great again right, or am I wrong? What's your thoughts?
No, you're not wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I just in the comments I put in, why don't you call in? You can talk to all of us.
Well,
You
I'm
can get
gonna
all of our
Poet. I appreciate your effort on that, but I'm gonna defer to leave that up to the viewer and leave that up to me. So I appreciate why you do that, but you know,
Okay.
I've announced the numbers 6 times. If people don't want to call in, that's that's on them. That's fine.
Okay.
The show is the show is the show is. We'll go on. It doesn't matter if he calls or not.
Yep. Okay.
It's but I appreciate your effort on that. But that being said, I mean, gig work, trucking. Why in your mind are they different?
It's not. It's how you explained it. I mean, with Uber and Lyft, you own your own car and you work part time.
Right.
Okay.
Well, just
Now,
by that description, Poet, it's the same as gig work. Make it different. Make an argument for why it's different in your mind.
because as a company driver, so at one time I did own a truck, but that was short lived.
Right.
The thing is that with gig work, you own your own vehicle, which I never did.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I was always driving for somebody else.
Right. You
And
state the truth there, my friend. Uber truckers are exploited, but it's not just the purpose of either of the two or both industries. It's the fact that we have sat and took it. Anybody here on this panel, you're welcome to disagree with me, but I say the reason we or they are exploited is because we let it happen. We accept it. We think it's normal. We think nothing will change. Therefore, we do not. No, look, I said it plainly in my open. It's a symptom of a much larger problem. You know what that problem is? Newsflash, the problem is we sit and take it. All right? We allow mega corporations, big companies, big trucking, Department of Transportation, lawyers, insurance companies, corrupt individuals with nothing but the intent to line their pockets. We let them tell us what to do. When are we going to wake up, just like my opinion suggests, and say, you know what? I got to make a living too. I count too. This shit stops here. That's how you answer that. That's how you address that. Tell me you disagree with me in the comments, on a call, or live on the air. I want to hear it. He goes, how can you be a company driver if you don't get equal compensation? I agree. Well said. Well said. I mean, dude, you're not the only one talking. What do you guys think? Grumpy, what's your thought? You got a mute problem, buddy.
Darn internet.
Darn internet. I knew you were going to blame it on the internet.
Well, honestly, what he's saying is, you know, kind of true, but I mean, it's not really gig work. It's a matter of choice, because you choose to join a union.
Yep.
Or you choose to just find another job if that place only accepts you into the union.
Well, take and put the unions aside for just 1 second, Grump. Put the unions aside for just 1 second. The core of what he said in his last two statements are that both gig workers and truckers are exploited. That was his last comment. This one goes on to say, how can you be a company driver if you don't get equal compensation? So I think he explores that option even further. Company drivers, you're working for somebody else, you're paid W-2. But a truck driver, whether you own it or not, separate it from the union. Okay, again, we're totally separate for just a moment for purposes of his question and his statement. You don't, how do I word this? I'm thinking like fate now. I'm so afraid of offending people. Here I am, the host of a show. I offend everybody just by being here. When you are a business owner, the moment you worry whether or not you're getting an equal compensation, that should be a red flag to you. You know, if you put yourself in a category of a gig worker, you're doing yourself a big disservice. You know, true, they and us, we are exploited. But as I pointed out moments ago, when do we say enough's enough? I mean, that's plainly where I was going with that. You know, it's up to us. It really is. And, you know, kudos to Make Trucking Great Again for suggesting that. I mean, that's, you know, what the end result of his comment was. But, you know, that's what we need to do. We need to be louder. We need to be, you know, more active in making sure that the environment stays such that we get what we need, you know?
So what was meant by this equal compensation? And I'm trying to figure that out.
Not sure what you're missing. Let's put it this way. Take my last video, okay? My last video talked about Walmart, workman's comp problems, and a fella getting compensated for a lawsuit which he filed. What would you think, or what would happen to you if you filed an equal lawsuit, same scenario, and only got $10 million? Homeboy in the other scenario got 35. So why is it he gets that and you get nothing, or seemingly nothing?
Don't forget.
Now put that in the context of you making a living. Okay. You as a Walmart driver are purported to make $110,000 a year.
Okay.
Well, what if you sign up and become a driver with Walmart and only make 50? you're going to feel like you're exploited, aren't you?
Yes.
So I think that's the direction that man was going with those questions and those statements. And I'm on board with that.
Okay.
If nothing changes with your responsibility or your title, you should receive the same pay someone else does. The only difference in that should be the experience you offer.
And yet,
Go ahead, Les.
drivers jump companies for a half or 1 cent per mile increase.
Well, and that's on them. I'm not talking or including them in this argument. I'm including those individuals like sitting on this panel right now, over 200 plus years experience on this panel. Each and every one of you, I know damn well, would be in that situation where somebody else with equal to you experience got 100,000 and you got half. You'd be pissed, and you would not work there.
That's right.
And that's what that's what Make Trucking Great Again is referring to.
Okay.
So,
all right. Now now it makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And to that's what I'm talking about. I mean, it's conversations like this that a lot of people running these corporations and these board executives and these HR departments, they don't see this. They don't know this. They're not told this. Everybody goes on. Everything's the same. No one thinks anything's wrong. And all of a sudden, next thing you know, it's debated in courtrooms. And it's decided outside our purview. We have no control over it. So let me ask you guys, do you think corporations have more of an obligation to prioritize what goes on with us? Or do you think it should be just more of the same? When are things going to change? What do you guys think?
Well, they're never going to change. They're always going to be there as long as everyone stays silent.
Right, right. Yeah. I don't mean to lead you on, but just I could almost see where you're going. I mean, honestly,
to us, if you look at a totem pole, okay,
right.
See, corporate executives are at the top, right?
Right.
Then you got your other people in the middle, and then we're on the very bottom of that. So we get the crumbs that's coming off the top of there.
And why do you think that is?
Because no one speaks up or say, hey, why is this? Why is that? Because they're always afraid if I ask the wrong questions, they'll get mad at me. And
it goes to the broader point I made earlier. It's part of a symptom of a larger problem. You know, everybody in trucking bitches about one thing. Everybody in trucking bitches about one thing. They always complain about how crappy the freight rates are. Now, albeit they're coming, they're raising, they're straightening out, things are improving. Don't misunderstand me. But just as quickly as people sit there and complain about the rates, they take it and they take it up the butt and they don't say anything. They don't do anything. It's more important not to just say something. But what do you do with that information? Do you take that crappy route? Why do you take it? Where are you going with it? When you get where you're going, are you still taking crappy loads? Or are you looking to take that bad load to get you toward progress? It's all in mindset, and everybody here knows this, and everybody said that. That being said, though, how often, when the rates were really bad, did we just sit and accept it and say nothing? Let me bring another guest on who's got a very unique perspective on exactly what we're talking about. Boom, the man of the hour in the house. Welcome to the show, Fate.
Good evening.
How are you tonight?
Good. How are you?
Good. Triggered, no doubt. So, yeah, we're talking about what people decide to take, not say, not do, and why everybody is so complacent with the world at large. What's your thought? Yep, I triggered him. He's silent. I could tell.
It's not complacency. Listen, if you're running a business on the spot market, you're doing it wrong. The spot market is not designed for every single load. It's designed to get you back or out to contracted freight. You've made a couple of statements about bad rates and things like that. Customer contracted freight hasn't been terrible.
No, it hasn't. And I even started with most of that statement saying things are improving. I did not leave that point out because I knew you'd be watching.
Things haven't been bad in customer freight. They don't need to improve.
No, but the broader point that I made earlier, and basically this has been going on for a while now. Everyone up till today, and including some parts of today, on the social media, all over the place, they complain about the rates, even though they're going up. Nothing's ever good enough for them.
Well, no.
And that's where I was
Most
starting with
people in this country, I don't know about Canada, Poet, so don't rip my head off here.
Right.
A lot of people in this country live outside of their means. They don't have enough money to go buy themselves dinner tonight if they're out on the road. That is not a reflection on the rates. That is a reflection on them not knowing how to manage money.
That's true.
That's true. That is them not knowing fiscal responsibility. That has nothing to do with the rates. That is people that buy equipment that isn't designed to do the job that they are doing to make more money.
True that. True that.
There's
I feel like I'm
so
advertising for a guest. I'm gonna have to change this banner now. Sorry, I just had to point that out. Only because I had this comment earlier from this user right here. Make trucking great again. I don't know what he was doing there, but it just boggles my mind that somebody came up with that screen name.
I can't even read it. Oh, make trucking great again.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. He says it changes when the baby boomers retire. I'm kind of insulted because I'm really close to that. I'm 54, dude. Don't push it.
He's talking about me.
No, he's not talking about you. He's talking in general. I mean,
You're
they're going to
already
retire
retired.
anyway. Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, they're going to retire anyway. Well, to your broader point, Fate, no one is happy unless everything works their way, you know? And the point I started making was that, you know what? Everybody sits on the sidelines and bitches. Very few people actually do something proactive to fix the situation. And how many times have I said it starts with you? You know, so to your point you made a minute ago, you're right. If you have a problem with the rates and the money you're making, look at yourself first. But to the broader point that I start. Go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
You can change a lot of that.
Right.
I mean, you're in control. People are in control of way more than they think they're in control of. And I understand it. I understand why. Some of it's fear, some of it's just complacency. There's lots of things that go into that. But you as an individual are in control of so much. You made a point earlier about, like, listen, we don't have the power to change the spot market rates. We don't. Stop thinking that you do. Stop these crazy ideas of all truckers should go on strike. No, they shouldn't, because there's some truckers that have a business structure that they understand.
They can't afford that. They can't afford that.
Well, it's not even that they can't afford it. There's people that made a lot of money when the market was down. I'm one of those people. So, like, if you want to complain and bitch about it and go drive to Washington, that only means I'm making more money. That's all that means. And it means you're not making a cent.
Exactly.
What have you accomplished? Nothing.
Exactly. I agree with everything you're saying, but to the broader point, my discussion I brought into this was about is, you know, we're talking tonight about the strike in Portland. It's a fact. And really, what's going to be accomplished out of this? Okay, they're going to strike. They're going to protest unfair treatment, bad wages. Everything's going to go the way most strikes do. And at the end of it all, what's going to wind up happening? Someone somewhere at the top of either the union or the corporation affected, they're the ones that are going to benefit the most. And that was what I was pointing out in my opening remarks. It's really not going to trickle down and affect or change us in any way. Yet we sit here and just look at it like, oh, it's just another shit show. We say nothing. We do nothing. You know?
I'm not on.
That,
I don't know
huh?
what's going on in Portland. I said I don't know what's going on in Portland.
Oh, okay.
I don't read anything. So
Well, well, I was hoping you'd be well enough informed by what I said when I started everything. I mean,
I haven't been watching. I was watching football.
okay. Well, I mean, to the point as I started, I mean, what role do you think people like us play in shaping the future of what we're talking about, the rates, working conditions, and how we how we amplify our voices, what we do? I mean, is it just simply working more the same? Is it, you know, actually talking to more people? Or, I mean, what's really being changed by what's going on out there? Anybody, you can certainly chime in. I'm not going to rely on poor fate over here. You know, I mean, think about it.
Well, I'll speak for myself real quick.
Go ahead.
I'm independent. I do what works for me. I don't look at like, I'm just being honest here. I don't look at the big scheme of things. I don't worry about the truck to the right of me or the truck to the left of me. I don't worry about that because it's not my business and it's not my problem.
Well, to your business, I get that, and I agree with that. However, when you're traveling down a highway and you got a guy riding along next to you with his right-hand signal light on, you do pay him the respect of letting him in front of you if he's going faster than you. So the respect is there.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, that's about as far as it goes. And a lot of people don't even give us that, you know. So that's kind of the thing I'm trying to change in this dialogue a little bit because, you know, I mean, everybody's in it for themselves, you know. To a large degree, everybody is. And I'm not talking about this panel. I'm talking about everybody that has, you know, influence or control, the unions, the corporations, because that's really what I'm talking about here. That's what changes our industry without us even having too much to say about.
I kind of have to agree with Fate.
How so?
Well, because it doesn't affect me. So why should it matter? Once it's then it should matter to me. That's just because my line of work. That's just it. I mean, like I said earlier, I'm on the agricultural side of trucking, and it hasn't affected agricultural trucking. So if I hear that there's a strike going on, it has no. You know, I mean, that's just my 2 cents. I mean, whatever they have going on over here, yes, eventually it might affect the industry, but until it starts affecting people, why should we be worried about it? Is kind of the sense that I see it.
All right. Anybody want to opine on our? Go ahead. Go ahead, Fate. I'm not going to interrupt you.
I'm sorry. The other thing is this. Like, we have voices. You have this channel. Other people have channels that they share their opinions, they share their frustrations. We aren't the ones that can make the change, right? Like, our voices need to be heard by the people that can make the change, or the people that we might elect to do certain things for us. That's where the change happens. When it comes to corporations, without corporations, 90% of the workforce doesn't work. We need corporations. We need the people that are willing to put up billions of dollars and take on a crap load of risk for us to have incomes.
Well, no
in this
doubt,
country.
there's a lot of risk there. I agree with you there. I mean, but you know, at the same time, there's a difference between that risk and simply forgetting about what happens when that risk is taken on. Because there are those companies out there, like what I highlighted in my video yesterday, that, you know what, they get to a point where they want to cut costs. And what's the first thing they do? They cut the easiest thing. And my video highlighted an example of it yesterday. And
That's
that was
good business.
Walmart. Well, to a degree, it's good business to cut costs, yes. But when you ruin people's lives doing it, that I disagree with. I know you know the video I'm talking about. It's really, it's seen by a lot of people.
I don't think $35 million is ruining anybody's life.
No, it certainly
personally.
was good for Mr. Fonseca, but just think about it. How many people don't actually get the benefit of being heard by a jury? How many people had to actually get cut and have themselves personally affected? I think that's Larry's. Personally affected by individuals like Walmart and not be heard by a lawyer or a jury. How many
No, I
lives
agree
were
with that.
ruined before it came to that point? So that's my broader point.
You
I'm
know
just
what
gonna
though?
say,
You made a good
yeah,
point in your video.
hmm
The reason that they have people go out and investigate fraud claims is
true.
because it's happened. And it's
It is, yeah,
cost these corporations more
yes,
than $35 million.
exactly, exactly. It has, no doubt it's there. William Maldonado, I welcome you to the channel. Dispatch don't care about people. You know what? They can't.
That's
Yeah.
false.
Well, and I appreciate your perspective, but I don't think they can. There's no way. They've got a job to do just like you and I do. If you're a trucker, God bless you. Thank you for your service and your comment. But there's no way dispatch has time to care about anybody. They've got a job to do. Their job is to provide you with an income. So they care about you by default, that I don't know if you guys disagree with that or not, but that's that's just my take on that. Texans won, Giants fan here.
I'll
Okay, I
speak
didn't
up
know we
on
were a
that
sports
just a
show.
little bit if you
Go
don't
ahead.
mind.
Go ahead, Grumpy. Go ahead.
I'd say carriers, your dispatcher, depending on how big of a fleet he's taking care of, most of them take an average of about 30, 35 drivers on each fleet per driver manager. If you're getting good with your driver manager, they will care about you. If you do not, and you don't communicate well with them and things like that, then you're just a number. I've been there, done that many times. Smaller companies like the one I currently work for, I mean, it's a little easier. You can keep in contact with that person. They may like you, they may not. Who cares?
Yeah.
You work, you make your money.
Trend of 13. I'm glad you joined the show. I'm glad you put the comment up because I got some sort of an exception to this comment. You're saying, just so that the guests can read it, because I know it's small print. I hear horror stories from owner operators discouraging me from buying my own truck. I'm taking land survey courses while I'm running regional. The only thing I got to say to that is, if you're being discouraged, don't take their personal discouragement or experiences face value. You really got to ask yourself if you are capable of doing it. Because you know what? Owner operator, owning a truck, it's not for everybody. So if you're hearing horror stories, I would ask questions. I would challenge, why are those stories so horrible? Or why are they so bad? Does it even relate to you? I mean, if you're already running regional, you already got the basics down. You already know what you're doing. So it goes to say, buying a truck, being an owner operator is totally a decision unique to your own. Don't let anybody tell you what you should do.
To
And I
that,
know
I will
everybody here's
say,
got their own opinion. Yeah.
yeah, to that, I will say, I wonder if Trend is actually being told by people that are like a lease purchase or if he's with a company that has lease purchase, and several of them have told him the stories, because there's a difference between lease purchase and actually being an owner operator.
Big
And
difference.
I know a few on this panel that could probably tell about that.
Yep. I know one specifically that probably has some good feedback. And that'd be you, my friend. I mean, when it comes to making that decision, you know firsthand the pitfalls and benefits of lease purchase. And you can probably tell this person, Trend 13, a thing or two about what to do and what not to do. But to be discouraged, I don't think that's right. I mean, that may be a perspective issue, but what are your thoughts, Larry?
My thought on that is, if you can afford it, buy your own truck.
Well, I mean, lease purchase though. There you go. I mean,
don't do it
that's
at
what,
all.
yeah. Lease purchase
Even
isn't
though you
exactly
get
a
a
safe-
fan, they give you here's a fancy truck for you to drive. No,
$4,000 a
Go.
month later.
go find you a truck that you could afford and do it that way.
There you go. There you go. Anybody else got anything else to add? I mean, this is a valuable conversation right here. Go ahead, Faye.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna upset people.
We triggered you again.
I got lots of horror stories about being an owner operator.
True.
And here's the thing. In my mind, most people in this country are not financially responsible. I would discourage 90% of people from becoming an owner operator because if you are not financially stable and fiscally educated, the likelihood of bankruptcy is real. If you have saved some money, if you're disciplined with money, if you understand you might not make any money for a month. If that doesn't scare you, then do it. And I believe what Larry said is right. Buy something that you can afford.
You have to make it in terms you can handle. Exactly. I fully agree with that. I mean, basically because we've already had this discussion off the air, but you know, when it comes down to what others tell you, you have to put a perspective in it. You have to put a perspective in it that, well, what was their situation may not exactly be yours, but it could just as quickly turn into your own. That is an important realization to make. Go ahead, Poet.
They don't call it the never, never plans for nothing.
Well, you're speaking but one opportunity. One way of doing it. You know,
Well,
I
but
personally,
that's lease.
I'm the personally, I'm the mindset. The traditional finance way is probably the best. There are other ways to do it, and I'm existing in one of those ways myself. But traditionally, financing it, paying a little bit each month, and eventually owning it, that's the best way.
That's right.
But if you jump into a $4,000 a month truck, you're going to fail. You know,
on a lease purchase, yes,
or
you will
even a
fail.
finance, because there are ways to finance a truck that damn expensive. I don't know who do it, but
Okay,
you know,
well,
I've been offered that,
Mm.
and I flat out looked at the guy and said, "You're freaking crazy," you know. Yeah, and he knows who he is. Anyway, I mean, it wasn't 4,000, but it was damn close. It was just it was not to scare the pants off me. Let me tell you that. It's ridiculous. Why somebody? I don't even know how somebody could set up a business model to afford that. I really don't. I mean, you want to talk about something that scares the pants off you? That will.
Of course.
Okay, so think about that comment.
Right.
Wouldn't you want that guy to tell you his true feelings and his experience, guy or girl, as being an owner operator, having a truck that costs $4,000 a month? That might seem like a horror story to the person that left the comment. That's not a horror story. Those are like facts. You could spend like me, almost $60,000 in 1 year on maintenance on a truck, and then decide after you spent that money that you're going to take another $20,000 and buy a different truck because you don't want to go through that. So now you're $80,000 in on 1 year. That's the profit margin in trucking isn't that big.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to handle those things. That's not a horror story I'm telling somebody. That's just facts.
Yeah. Yeah. And they sent back thanks for the feedback. So that's what we hope this show can at least do for people, and that's give them the realistic approach. It may go off topic, it may sometimes go right completely off the rails, but you know what? If at the end of the day somebody benefits, then we've got something good started. What's that, Poet? You're muted, buddy.
Larry wants to talk.
Go ahead, Larry. You can talk all you want, buddy.
Another thing to try to discourage you from it, but if you don't have the money for the repairs, don't do it.
Yeah.
Like
That's
Faye
true.
was just saying, it's expensive to operate a truck.
Yeah. I'm going to agree 100% solely with Fade on this, because if you are thinking you're going to go into this and you're going to be making lots and lots of money and you can spend all you want, don't think that with that mind. You are running a business, so you need to make money to have for your business, to pay for your business, to keep it running, and cut yourself a paycheck from that. Don't just go off and basically embezzle by spending that money on things that you don't have towards that business that's going to make your business better. A lot of people go into doing that, and that's where their first mistake is at.
Yep. You got anything to add to this, Thumper? You got slipped backstage house somehow from losing signal.
I lost signal. You know, I don't know. I mean, if you can't afford it, don't do it. Simple as that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think you could do it and you find out that you can't do it, then stay a company driver. I mean, it's a lot of work, and there's four of us on this panel that can vouch for it's
Lance
a
comes
lot of
across.
work
Thank
to
you
keep a truck
for joining the show. Thank you for your comment. 30,000 for an auto rebuild, and they seem to fail often. Well, I'd like to know more about that rebuild. If it fails often, you're doing it wrong.
Auto rebuild. Auto what?
Automatic tranny.
I don't know. Yeah. Were you talking about the auto? You talking about the tranny, or you talking about the engine? You know,
if you
certainly
want
give
to,
us
if you
more.
want
To,
to say, if you
tranny wouldn't be $30,000.
no, it wouldn't.
I did it.
You could buy a
would think
brand
he's
new.
talking
You
about
could
the
buy a
engine.
brand new transmission for $4,800 in 18 speed.
Yeah.
And it's like
Yeah.
another. It'll be
He's
like
probably
12 grand, new clutch and
Yeah,
everything.
he's probably talking about the engine. I mean, 30,000. That's probably talking about a rebuild.
I'm gonna beg to differ on an engine. A Cummins, I could see 30, but a Caterpillar like I run, $70,000.
I was gonna say a lot more. Yeah.
So I have an X15. You're looking at 40 grand for a rebuild.
Wow.
Yeah.
But more to the point, he says they fail often. Well,
yeah,
I'd wonder what he's doing.
The parts aren't. The parts aren't built as quality as they used to.
Well, that's true, but it doesn't explain it failing often.
Cheaply made,
You gotta wonder.
they're cheaply made, and they go to fail, and yeah.
Now, if you take it to the right mechanic, or you do the right job, it shouldn't fail. You should get almost equal life out of a rebuild as you can the original OEM engine.
That's the thing about technology now. More and more of it is what they call throwaway technology, even with the engines, and it's sad.
It is. It is. Well, then too, what kind of care and concern do most people have in the equipment they buy? You're spending thousands of dollars. What are you doing? I've heard many complain about auto transmissions going out. Well, that used to be the thing. I don't think it's so much the case. Yeah, I was going to say, when they were first the thing, before manuals were getting phased out and special orders there, that was a big thing, but not so much today. Not so much. Hell, you yourself have pointed out, Fate, they can probably ship the truck a hell of a lot better than we can.
Yeah, I miss manual transmission. That's what I started trucking in. That's what I trucked in for the first decade of my trucking career. The reality is, for what I do now, an automatic transmission is more cost efficient, better economy than having a manual transmission truck. But yeah, there isn't as many automatic transmission failures as there was even 5 years ago. The technology's very good nowadays.
It is, yeah. I agree. It is. It's very good. Well, my friends, if we got anything less to add to the topic of the night, which is
Does that commenter have any more comments? Any more questions?
No, I mean,
those are the people we should be talking to.
Yeah. And that's
You
the
know?
last thing he had up, you know, and he hasn't really said much else. So
That's how you make
Yeah.
trucking great again. You build back
there you
better.
go. Yeah, build back better. Yeah, you just had to slide that one in there, didn't you?
You know, we had this
Uh,
make trucking great again. You got to work together.
Right.
we do
And
indeed.
that's in trucking, the moral of trucking has really gone away, which was help another out and whatnot.
Trend 13 says been in 13 years. Been in it 10 years off and on. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong comment. Make trucking great again. Yeah. I'd like to know how you got that name. That's bugging me. I'm sorry. That's all I got to say. I'm jealous. No, I'm not. I'm just messing with it. Anyway. Well, gentlemen and ladies, I thank everybody for being a part of the show. I thank everybody for giving me of their time. And you know what? If you're one of the 600 subscribers currently, go down below on the replay. We're sitting here live now. Give me a like. Give me something positive to make next week's show about. And give me something to look forward to. I certainly thank you guys. In the meantime, we got to bring this out with a bang. What do you say, Thumper? Oh, Thumper, he ditched out on me. All right. Anybody got anything, Dad?
Was a good show.
I think so too.
Remember, truckers are people too.
Speaking of which,
I don't care who you are. That's trucking.
Hey, I don't care who you are. That's funny.
I'm just gonna put it out there. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Hey, there you go. I like that.
Get
That's a good way to do it.
Get retired.
Get retired. Really? Were you going to go there, Poet?
No.
Really?
No, you just did.
Oh,
There's no
you
such
are
thing as retiring, as
Well,
the hat says.
That's true.
That's very true. That's very true. All right, guys. This has been an absolutely fun show. Remember, guys, it's people like you and me that every day help us make trucking great again. Take a few moments, go out, look for everybody on this panel, Grumpy Old Trucker, Fake Truckin', everybody else, Larry the Trucker, Thumper. Stop it. Oh, all of these guys, they have great experience, great advice, and want nothing but you to be successful and get the job done. Remember, guys, it's the truck that makes the deliveries, but it's you that makes the difference. Look for more of our videos and our next show coming up next week. Till then, keep it real, keep it safe, and keep it rolling.